What does Deadly really look like?
Look, yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Here's one that is frighteningly lifelike from Jane Crawley.
It's given him more hair.
Look at that.
Oh, Jane, please. We won't have any comments like that either, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for all your contributions. Deadly, while you're there,
Yes.
maybe you could whip them up to the requisite friendly? And the frenzy, Mr. Drink.
Yes.
What do you think?
Shall we look ahead?
Yeah.
Let's. Well, tomorrow on the show there's a hint of summer wine as actress Jean Alexander joins us. So that's summer wine tomorrow. It's earplugs in.
Yes, outer space.
I've got a little spaceship.
Reddit.
That's it. It's like a flying saucer.
Ah, is it a cup of tea?
Sargent's are probably the largest selection of upholstery and reproduction furniture in the area, with over 200 dining room and three-piece suites on display. J. Sargent, Curtin Lindsay, Lincolnshire.
Yes, it's a good day.
Fresh complexion, revitalized skin. It's got to be Synergy C. New Synergy C Daily Moisturizing Cream with Vitamin C from Laboratoire Garnier. Synergy C has a light, non-greasy texture. Your skin is moisturized, feels fresh, and full of vitality. New Synergy C with Vitamin C, formulated and controlled by Laboratoire Garnier. Synergy, for healthy-looking skin.
We'll help you with the little things as well as the big. Britannic Assurance. Partnership for life.
If your teenagers or you need a second phone line, you can get one half price with BT. Just call 0800 22 8811 before June the 30th.
Monday.
Inspector Frost. Somehow one associates you with places like this.
Would you by any chance be trying to tell me my job, Constable?
I wouldn't by any chance be trying to tell you anything.
They like to educate policemen nowadays so that we can quote the relevant sections. We bash them over the head with a sock full of wet sand. Well, Doctor, I'm waiting.
A Touch of Frost. Bank Holiday Monday, 9:20 on ITV.
On Yorkshire Now, the latest headlines from the region with Krista Ackroyd.
Hello, welcome to the Lunchtime Newsroom calendar this Wednesday, the 29th of April. The top stories in our region today. The Home Secretary investigates as a murderer issues a lawsuit from his prison cell. And a timely equaliser leaves the Blades playoffs hopes on a knife edge. But first, the Home Secretary said he's concerned as to how a murderer bombarded a postmistress with menacing calls from inside a prison and then tried to sue her. Her crime? She'd failed to send him the newspaper that he'd ordered. Denzil Walker was jailed for life for killing a backpacker 4 years ago in Lincolnshire. Dave Devonport reports.
Denzil Walker is behind bars, a convicted murderer, but it didn't stop him taking the woman who runs this village post office to court. She'd failed to get him a copy of the Financial Times. He then phoned her from inside Long Lartin prison in Worcestershire, where he's serving a life sentence. He demanded to know where the paper was and threatened her. Walker sued the postmistress at this county court, demanding £9.10, the price of the paper and the cost of the calls to find one. Walker's case was thrown out, but it's just the latest by an inmate.
Prisoners have a right to be treated fairly and decently when they're in prison. Of course they do. But I don't think they have a right to take very, very small action for barrack room lawyer mentality at great public expense to the rest of us. They're in prison for wrongdoing. And when they're in prison, they do sacrifice some of their civil liberties. That's the nature of prison.
The Australian backpacker Julie Clayton was murdered by Walker. He tried to rape her before strangling and bludgeoning her to death. The body was dumped in a ditch at Colby in Lincolnshire. A judge recommended he serve at least 20 years. But the shopkeeper's ordeal began when she was unable to get Walker his paper because her supplier couldn't find one. The 64-year-old woman has condemned the legal system which allowed Walker to terrify her from behind bars.
Dave Devonport reporting. The The head of the prison service is in our region this lunchtime to make a rather special award. Richard Tilt is at Wakefield Prison, which houses some of Britain's most dangerous criminals. The visit is to honour one of the prison guards there. It comes after a major breakout was thwarted. And I'm joined now by our reporter Michelle Hawkins, who's actually at the prison now. Michelle, what's been happening today?
Well, the Director General, Richard Tilt's been touring the jail, he's been meeting inmates, looking at workshops, but the main reason he's here is to present this commendation, this award, to one of the prison officers, Paul Fox.
So tell us about the presentation, when does it happen and who will be there?
Well, it's happening about now. It's only the third one of its kind that the Director General's made since he came into power in 1995. Basically, this prison officer foiled an escape attempt earlier this year. One of the inmates had managed to make a replica key and actually opened one of the gates inside. Paul Fox spotted him, went back to his cell and took the key from him.
Now, at the time, how serious a threat to security was this viewed?
Well, it turned out that this inmate had actually made a whole bunch of replica keys. Now, there were other doors for him to get through. He'd only managed to unlock one. But obviously, if he'd proceeded, if he hadn't been spotted, the consequences could have been much more serious.
Michelle Hawkins, thank you very much for telling us all about it this lunchtime. Time for the rest of the day's news in brief.
Thanks very much, Krista. Welcome to the Calendar East News Desk. 2 toddlers are recovering in hospital today after surviving a car crash in which the driver, which is believed to be their mother, was killed. The accident happened on the A1605 Fakenham Road in Norfolk, and the car hit a bridge parapet. Police say the car rolled over and ended up on its side in a nearby river. The crash is being investigated and police are appealing for witnesses to contact them. The children, who are just 18 months and 3 years old, are suffering from shock. A man who was stabbed repeatedly by an attacker in his home is in a stable condition in hospital. David Stokes, who's 56, and his wife Jane, who also suffered cuts, were attacked at their home in Westbury Road in Humberston near Grimsby. The scene was cordoned off by detectives yesterday. A 30-year-old man who also suffered injuries has since been released from hospital and is now in custody at Grimsby Police Station. An inquest opens today into the death of police computer operator Kirsty Carver from East Yorkshire. The body of Kirsty, who was 22, was found at Spurn Point 5 weeks after she'd gone missing. Post-mortem has revealed she died from head injuries. The local man, Craig Belcher, who's 23, is remanded in custody charged with her murder. Delegation of former fishermen from Hull are travelling to London today as part of their 15-year fight to win compensation. The trawlermen set off early this morning, hopeful that their lobby of MPs will be successful. Men want payment because they received no redundancy when the industry collapsed in the 1970s following the Cod Wars. They also plan to hand in a 13,000 signature petition to Downing Street and hope the Labour government will be more sympathetic to their claim.
There was going to offer some compensation in 1976, but unfortunately before anything was put in place, the Tory government taken over. But nevertheless, this government has fully supported us whilst in opposition. The scream about injustices, well, this is a clear case now to put matters right for the ex-decent water trawlermen of Britain.
More than £250,000 is being spent on cameras to trap speeding motorists and stop crashes at accident black spots across Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire police say 80 people a year die in accidents. Now 8 new cameras will be put up to try and deter motorists from breaking the law. Finally, horse lovers in Lincolnshire have defended their claims that they have the tallest Shire horse in Britain after a pony protection centre in London claimed their horse was bigger. Goliath, who lives at the Northcote Heavy Horse Centre near Spilsby, is more than 18 hands high. That's more than half an inch taller than his rival, say staff. The 21-year-old stallion costs around £75 a week to feed, but he is getting on a bit. Goliath suffers from arthritis, rheumatism put down to overwork in his youth, and now has a special sling. That's it from Calendar East. Now let's rejoin Krista.
And the producer on that, who was a hard-headed Scot, would not go into that church. to film. She sent a researcher in. She stayed in the car with the engine running. Anyway, what all that means and what we found out after the news in about 20 minutes. Good stuff. Now, as Karen says, it's National Impotence Day on Saturday, Valentine's Day, and I'm not quite sure what we're all supposed to do about that. I mean, maybe the idea is we don't do anything, Chris, I don't know. But anyway, impotence is probably the biggest problem in the bedroom, and there are physical causes, or just sometimes men get it into their head that they're not going to be able to perform, and then they don't. Weird. Anyway, joining us now with good news is Tony Wilkinson, who had a really, really bad accident at work 5 years ago, which left him, at the time, impotent. He's all right now. And his wife, Catherine, and we've got Dr. Chris as well. I think you're top man for coming in. Good for you. Yeah. It really is good of you. And you as well. Thank you both very much. It was a horrible accident, wasn't it?
It was.
You broke your pelvis?
Pelvis 2 places, bottom of my back, smashed all the wrist.
Yeah, and severely damaged your testicles.
Yeah,
they were badly crushed, weren't they?
Yeah, they were badly crushed, yeah.
You poor man, how long was it before you could walk around?
I was in hospital for 4 months.
Yeah.
Right, then they taught me to walk again.
Yes.
Then a year, 18 months before I realised anything wasn't happening.
Because you were, obviously you'd think after a big trauma like that, it would be a while before, you know, sex happened again. Yeah. But it just wasn't happening, was it? I mean, you wanted to.
Definitely.
And you wanted to.
And you were told it would all happen again, weren't you?
Yeah, they said, like, don't worry about it. Yeah. What's the first thing you do when it doesn't work?
You worry about it.
It's like a vicious circle. It goes round and round.
So how long did it go on for before you decided to check it out and get some help?
Well...
Go on, you tell us.
He thought that wouldn't talk about it to me, and I didn't want to talk it about. We didn't want to upset each other.
No. Oh, really? So you didn't talk about it then?
Not at first, no.
Really? And how long did that go on for?
Quite a while.
So were you able, without obviously going into any pertinent details, did you have sex but not full sex? I mean, you're able to.
Yeah.
You were able to satisfy
you find different
ways. There's foreplay, kisses, cuddles.
Yeah, you can do lots that way. But you just couldn't follow it through with the obvious resistance.
Yeah, it's my problem. Right. I wouldn't talk to Catherine.
Right.
And well, I should be, because she's the closest person I've got.
This is so common, though, isn't it, Chris? It's so common. You know, you don't talk about it.
Catherine thought it was her problem. Right. So she wouldn't talk to me.
So I didn't want to upset him.
What then? What made you go and get help, or what?
Growth should be banned from farms. Jackie Ashley, ITN.
The Irish swimmer Michelle Smith, who came out of nowhere to win 3 Olympic golds, is at the centre of a new drugs allegation. Michelle became Ireland's sporting heroine after her phenomenal success at Atlanta, but she's under investigation over claims that she tampered with a drug sample. She'll hold a news conference in the next hour. Finally, Tony Blair's taking Prime Minister's questions at Westminster now. Earlier, he took them at number 10.gov.uk, a first for a British Prime Minister. Sir David Frost put to him some of the hundreds of questions sent from computers in homes, offices, schools and internet cafes around the country. William Hague got in on the act too on his website.
Right, there's a question come through live. Did you watch Mr. Blair's internet broadcast this morning? And the answer is I didn't watch his broadcast this morning.
On the early evening news, we'll have details of that press conference in which the Irish swimmer Michelle Smith is going to talk about the drug allegations against her. Also, we report from Israel on the eve of celebrations to mark the country's 50th anniversary. That's at 5:40.
Very good afternoon and welcome to Calendar East. The funeral of Kirsty Carver from East Yorkshire is likely to take place at the end of this week after the coroner agreed to release her body. The body of Kirsty, who was 22, was found at Spurn Point 5 weeks after she'd gone missing. Post-mortem has revealed Kirsty, who was a police computer operator, died from head injuries. A local man, Craig Belcher, who's 23, is remanded in custody, charged with her murder. Experts investigating the sinking of a ship in the North Sea are today travelling to the area where the ship went down off the coast of Whitby. Meanwhile, a deckhand from Goole has been telling how he quit the ship on the morning it sailed on its fateful voyage. Ships and helicopters have located the wreck of the Belize-registered vessel, the Rima, on the seabed. It's thought 5 men on board the ship have perished. Accident investigators are speaking to their families. Divers or remote control cameras may be used to examine the wreckage as part of the inquiry. Carl Lambert had worked on the ship since last November and was due to sail with it last weekend. He says there were no clues as to why she went down.
No idea. Mystery. Really is. It was tragic mystery. I mean, we'll find out when divers go down. I just can't think.
Two toddlers are recovering in hospital today after surviving a car crash in which the driver believed to be their mother was killed. The accident happened on the A1605 Fakenham Road in Norfolk when the car hit a bridge parapet. Police say the car rolled over and ended up on its side in a nearby river. The crash is investigated and police are appealing for witnesses to contact him. The children, who are just 18 months and 3 years old, are suffering from shock. A man who was stabbed repeatedly by an attacker in his home is in a stable condition in hospital. David Stokes, who's 56, and his wife Jane, who also suffered cuts, were attacked at their home on Westbury Road in Humberston near Grimsby. The scene was cordoned off by detectives yesterday. A 30-year-old man who also suffered injuries has since been released from hospital and is now in custody at Grimsby Police Station. A delegation of former fishermen from Hull handed in a petition to the Prime Minister this afternoon as part of their 15-year fight to win compensation. The trawlermen set off this morning. They're due to meet several MPs later today. The men received no redundancy money when the industry collapsed in the 1970s following the cod wars, and they now want compensation. They've collected a 13,000 signature petition and say they hope the Labour government will be sympathetic to their claims.
There was going to offer some compensation in 1976, but unfortunately before anything was put in place, the Tory government taken over. But nevertheless, this government has fully supported us whilst in opposition. The scream about injustices, well, this is a clear case now to put matters right for the ex-decent water trawlermen of Britain.
More than £250,000 is being spent on cameras to trap speeding motorists and stop crashes at accident black spots across Lincolnshire. A video camera here has already reduced accidents, but Lincolnshire police say 80 people a year die in crashes. Now 8 other cameras will be put up to try and deter motorists from breaking the law. Cross Oakcliff Hill will be the first site to get a speed camera, with a total of 24 going up over the next few years.
The whole purpose of the cameras is to reduce accidents, not simply catch speeders. If at the end of the year we catch no speeders and we have no accidents, that is successful.
Finally, horse lovers in Lincolnshire have defended their claims that they have the tallest shire horse in Britain after a pony protection centre in London claimed their horse was bigger. Goliath, who lives at the Northcote Heavy Horse Centre near Spilsby, is more than 19 hands high. That's more than half an inch taller than his rival, say staff. The 21-year-old stallion costs around £75 a week to feed, but he's getting on. Goliath suffers from arthritis and rheumatism, put down to his overwork in his youth. Oh, that's it from Calendaries for now. Bye-bye.
Fridays, come into the Raw Zone.
This is where the party begins.
It's the party night of the year. Friday Night Fever is out where the action is on New Year's Eve.
I'm
the goddess of love. But before that, the hot new comedy, Dharma and Greg.
I love
You really don't play by the rules. Dharma and Greg.
That was great.
Friday Night Fever.
Unbelievable.
The Raw Zone from 10:40 Friday on ITV.
Come to a magical world. Good heavens! Filled with fun and adventure. Yes! Where your wildest dreams always come true.
Thank you.
Now you can believe in make-believe, fairy tale, a true story.
You may be confident about your whites, but what about the tough areas? We're taking a closer look. It's the new Daz close-up challenge. Come on.
Okay, this is a forehand. A couple more, Helen.
How you doing, everybody? Who uses Daz? Come on, mums. So why do you use Daz?
So just get the whites white. His socks are the worst because he runs around without the shoes on.
And you leave your mum to do all the washing, do you?
They go into the wash black, but it does come out white. Yeah, I don't like grey socks on children. Not nice.
Right, Mum, here's a challenge. You prepared to show that sock to our close-up camera?
Yes.
Okay, it's a tough challenge, though. Yes. You proud of that?
Yes,
So you should be as well. Well done. Would your whites pass the Daz close-up challenge? Joe Sock has. Really good at tennis, Joe.
For a fragrance that lasts, don't spray it, touch and fresh it. Glade's Touch and Fresh Fine Mist stays up for up to 4 hours, while ordinary aerosols come down in minutes. Fragrance that lasts for hours. Touch and Fresh, created by nature, captured by Glade.
Domestos Power Cleaner not only cleans, but because it's from Domestos, it kills kitchen germs as well. Good to know, isn't it?
It takes all sorts to make the grand.
S-E-X. It's not just about that.
People with secrets.
I think it's a good idea to have a few secrets, don't you?
A husband who doesn't trust his wife.
I want you to do something for me!
A brother who wed for the wrong reason.
You married her to have children.
I married her to spite you.
A man who fancies his brother's wife.
You're supposed to find power attractive.
Who says I don't?
It will all come out in the open when you visit the Grand, Friday at 9 on ITV.
Now, Paddy is set to become part of the Dingle clan in a repeat of Emmerdale.